What if I told you that even today, nearly 700 million people live on less than $2 a day? It's a number so large it's almost impossible to imagine. But behind every statistic is a real person, a family, a community. Global poverty is one of humanity's greatest challenges, but also one of our greatest opportunities to create change. Welcome to How Expert Tip of the Day, where we bring you real-world tips from our how-to guides on all topics from A to Z. If you want to learn even more in-depth strategies, examples, and insights on this topic, check out How Expert Guide to Global Poverty, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes& Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. At its core, global poverty means the lack of access to basic human needs: food, clean water, shelter, healthcare, and education. It's not just about income, but about opportunity. In this video, we'll explore what causes poverty, how it impacts the world, and most importantly, how people everywhere are working to end it. 1. Poverty is more than a lack of money. When we think of poverty, we often think of income. But poverty is multidimensional. It includes lack of education, poor health, unsafe housing, and limited access to resources. The United Nations defines it as a denial of choices and opportunities. For example, a farmer in rural Malawi may earn some income from crops, but if drought strikes, markets close, and medical care is miles away, their vulnerability increases. The takeaway: poverty isn't just about survival, it's about exclusion. Ending poverty means creating systems where everyone has the chance to thrive, not just survive. 2. The roots of global poverty run deep. Poverty doesn't happen by accident. It's shaped by history, geography, politics, and inequality. Colonization, conflict, and corruption have left long-lasting scars on economies and institutions. Climate change now adds new pressure as floods, droughts, and storms destroy livelihoods. For example, in parts of sub-Saharan Africa, small farmers lose up to 40% of crops yearly due to climate impacts, pushing families into deeper poverty. The insight here: to fight poverty, we must understand and address the forces that cause it. 3. Education is one of the most powerful tools against poverty. When a child goes to school, their chances of escaping poverty multiply. Education increases income potential, improves health outcomes, and empowers communities. Studies show that every additional year of schooling can raise a person's income by up to 10%. In Bangladesh, for example, investments in girls' education over the past 3 decades have drastically reduced poverty rates and improved gender equality. The lesson: education isn't charity, it's empowerment. 4. Economic opportunity creates pathways out of poverty. Access to jobs, credit, and entrepreneurship allows people to transform their own lives. Microfinance programs like Grameen Bank in Bangladesh or Kiva around the world have shown how small loans can spark big change. A woman who receives a $100 microloan to start a small tailoring business not only earns income but can send her children to school and reinvest in her community. The insight: people in poverty don't lack ambition. They often lack opportunity. When opportunity meets potential, transformation happens. 5. Health and clean water are foundations for progress. Poor health and unsafe water trap millions in a cycle of poverty. When families spend their savings on medical bills or lose income because of illness, progress halts. Contaminated water alone kills more children annually than war. Yet, solutions are within reach. In Rwanda, community-based health insurance programs and clean water initiatives have drastically reduced child mortality and improved productivity. The takeaway: improving health and hygiene is not just compassion, it's smart economics. 6. Inequality and corruption keep poverty in place. Poverty often persists not because resources are scarce, but because they're unfairly distributed. In many nations, the wealthiest 1% hold more wealth than the rest of the population combined. Corruption diverts money meant for schools and hospitals into private pockets. When governance is weak, inequality grows, and the poor remain powerless. Transparency, fair taxation, and accountability are essential to break that cycle. The insight: fighting poverty also means fighting injustice. 7. Global cooperation and local action are both essential. No single government or charity can end poverty alone. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, number 1, to end poverty in all its forms by 2030, depends on cooperation among nations, NGOs, businesses, and individuals. Yet some of the most inspiring progress starts at the local level. For example, in Colombia, small community cooperatives have transformed poor neighborhoods through shared savings programs and local entrepreneurship. The message: when global vision meets grassroots action, real change happens. To see these ideas in action, let's look at a story that embodies hope. In rural Uganda, a group of women formed a community savings circle. Each week, every member contributed a small amount, sometimes less than $1. Over time, the pooled funds helped them start small businesses, selling vegetables, raising chickens, or making crafts. Within a few years, the women had sent their children to school, improved their homes, and built a community well. What started as a few coins became a movement of empowerment. Their story reminds us that poverty may be global, but the solutions often begin locally with courage, cooperation, and persistence. To recap, global poverty is not inevitable, it's solvable. We've learned that. Poverty is multidimensional. Its roots lie in history, inequality, and environment. Education breaks cycles. Economic opportunity fuels progress. Health and clean water sustain growth. Justice and transparency matter. Global cooperation makes the dream achievable. Every statistic represents a person with potential. When we see poverty not as a permanent condition but as a challenge to be overcome, we shift from pity to partnership. And here's the mic drop line: the fight against poverty isn't about saving others. It's about building a fairer world where everyone has the chance to live with dignity. For even more tips, techniques, and practical insights on this topic, check out HowExpert Guide to Global Poverty, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. HowExpert publishes how-to guides on all topics from A to Z. Visit howexpert.com to learn more.